What would happen if you could take this belief and really bring it to the center of your consciousness, that everything is a symptom of healing? Hello and welcome back to Remember Why You're Here, a podcast for seekers and sensitives where you can relax, receive, reconnect to yourself, and remember the most important thing of all, why you're here. I'm Asia Suler, author, earth intuitive, teacher, and guide. And in this episode today, I wanted to revisit something that is a mantra for me, something that I repeat to myself over and over again, especially when I'm having a really hard time. And that mantra is, everything is a symptom of healing. We're often handed this view of the world where everything is kind of going to pieces, where everything is headed in the wrong direction, and that falling apart is the opposite of healing. But if we look at the way in which the earth operates, how ecosystems heal themselves, how these wider systems of life, this web of life operates, we see that that's not true at all. And that everything that we see manifesting in the world around us is actually the earth's attempt to create healing and balance. And so the same goes within the earth of our bodies, our psyches, within the wider landscape of our culture. Everything that we're seeing is a symptom of our bodies and our earth and this culture trying to heal itself. Everything is always attempting to move back into balance. Sometimes it doesn't feel this way, which is why this is one of my mantras, because I have to remind myself of this, that the breakdowns, the ruptures, the disillusionment, the pain, the illnesses, the struggles, that these are all symptoms of a system trying to right itself, of nature trying to return to a way of balance and harmony. And so in this way of thinking, everything that we're witnessing, everything that we're seeing inside of ourselves and inside of this world is a symptom of this greater force, this greater benevolence, this truth that is really at the heart of the existence, which is that everything is moving towards healing. And in every action and reaction, this is exactly where the heart of the world is moving us towards. So, in this episode today, I wanted to revisit a recording that I made a few years ago called Everything is a Symptom of Healing. In it, I talk about the concept of healing crises in herbal medicine, what they mean and what they don't mean. I talk about the concept of shamanic dismemberment and ways to see whatever is going on in our life as a symptom of healing. So with that, let's drop into this meditative look at seeing everything as a symptom of healing. When things are hard, it's easy to slip into a feeling as if everything is falling apart in your life. And one of the most challenging aspects of that is feeling like you're actually falling off the healing path itself. When you take a step backwards, or when you had an old condition come up again, or when you're slumping into a space of depression once more. One of the most painful aspects of that is feeling like you are regressing and that healing is being stopped in its tracks. You haven't failed anything. You haven't done anything wrong. And in fact, what you're experiencing right now is a symptom of healing. Another way of thinking about this concept of everything being a symptom of healing is this phrase of everything's happening for me. This was a phrase and an awareness that came into my consciousness when I was dealing with chronic illness, and it was incredibly important for me to continually put this at the center of my altar and in my awareness. How does my whole experience of reality, what's going on in my body, what's going on in the world at large shift when I can embrace this idea that everything is happening for me? Not everything's happening to me, which places me in this perpetual position of powerlessness as a victim. But how is this happening for me, for my growth, for my expansion? Now, here's the truth. We are always moving towards healing. Even when we're having something challenging come up in our body, that's our body's way of communicating that there's an imbalance and there's something that needs to be addressed here. Our body is a benevolent communicator. So even the things that are painful or even the things that feel like are a regression are actually our body's way of, in a very loving way, using the tools it has, communicating to us that there is healing needed. In this way, everything that's going on in your body is actually a symptom of healing in your spirit. Now, this concept of this idea that we're always moving towards healing is displayed over and over and over again in the earth around us. If you've ever dug a hole in the ground, maybe ripped out the plants that are there, torn up the roots of a tree that was there, and then just let it sit for a season, I guarantee you're going to come back the next year and it will be totally grown up again with plants. It'll be visited by new flora, by new fauna. This is the truth of the earth. The earth is in a perpetual cycle of healing and growth. So we don't need to look any further than really our backyards to see that healing is the natural state and progression of the world. So from this perspective, everything is healing. The earth cares most deeply about creating sustainable growth through diversity and creativity. And one of the ways in which the earth does this is through sometimes feeding the healing that is dissolution. Now, on a tangible level, we can look at this through the realm of fungi or mushrooms. That even when something seems like it's in decay, in truth, that's actually feeding new life. And we need these endings in order to experience new beginnings. Death feeds life. And so whatever it is that you're experiencing in your body that is seeming like a mini death, or maybe even in your life, in your relationships, in your worldview, these challenging times are actually symptoms of the fact that there are deep healing currents going on for you in your life and your wider spirit. Healing currents that are connected into these wider dreams of the earth, these dreams of creating more diversity, creativity, and life, beginning with connecting into your own creativity and capacity for embracing your own inner diversity. Oftentimes when we have a healing crisis, it's actually not a symptom of stepping backwards. It's a symptom of stepping forwards. So in herbalism, we use this term healing crisis when we're working with a client and they're having something come up in their body, in their healthscape that used to be an issue, but that they've started moving away from. And I know for myself, when I've experienced healing crisis, it feels like I'm stepping backwards. It feels like a huge regression and it can be incredibly scary. But oftentimes it's actually a sign that we're walking that spiral path. And even though we continue to walk forward, we revisit that same place on the spiral again and again. But each time we're in a different place and we're ready to release more. So from a shamanic perspective, it's this idea of going through an initiation where you are literally dismembered, taken apart, so you can be put back together again. And this too is part of the healing. Sometimes where we are in our consciousness, it's not quite big enough to hold where we're going. And so we need these moments of dissolution in order to be able to widen our aperture and really open our awareness to all the possibilities that are here for us in this lifetime. What would happen if you could take this belief and really bring it to the center of your consciousness, that everything is a symptom of healing? Beginning with your life, applying it to your experiences, your relationships, and then expanding out this belief to the world at large. It can be really easy, especially when we get lost in the news cycles, to start to feel a sense of hopelessness and despondency looking at the world. But if we simply take this one perspective shift and start to see things a little bit differently, we can actually open up these reservoirs of not only hope, but our creative energy to be continually moving forward in the healing that this earth is asking us to be a part of. What if everything that we're seeing in the news cycle is also a symptom of healing? This too is showing us something that is lurking within the consciousness, the collective consciousness, that is limiting our growth. And we need to be able to see it in order to dismantle it, dismember it, and then be open to these wider possibilities and expansion of growth here on this planet. The body, the psyche, our earth is always moving towards healing. The way to make that process be even more fluid and easeful and accelerate it is just to bring your awareness. It's all about bringing our awareness to the concept or idea that what we are experiencing every day is a symptom of healing. So take this into your life and see how it changes the way you experience the things that are happening within and around you. Maybe you had something challenging go on today, this week, this month. Take a moment now and ask yourself, how could this be a symptom of healing? I promise you, if you can take on this one mindset shift, it will change your whole perception of the world and therefore your experience as someone who is co-creating healing on this planet. If anyone's been listening to this podcast for a few months now, you know that in January, I had this prompt that came through in the intuitive reading for January of asking ourselves this question anytime something went wrong, to ask ourselves, how is this helping me to get free? And I think that this prompt, which I asked myself probably 1 million times in January and February, I think that this prompt can also apply right now, here for us in this moment, at this time, on this planet, and in this part of this year, to ask ourselves, how is this helping me to heal? Especially if something feels really painful or really hard, how is this helping me to heal? What unseen layers of mercy or benevolence might be within this, even if it feels really hard, even if it feels really painful? Can we trust that there is a greater movement towards healing with whatever it is that is manifesting in our lives? So I just wanted to leave you with that today, that question of asking yourselves, how is this helping me to heal? And instead of immediately searching for an answer, just being open to the way in which asking that question helps us soften, helps us experience a sense of softening rather than bracing against what is. And I think that softening itself is where the healing lies. So whatever it is that you're moving through at this time, and whatever it is that you uncover through this movement of asking this question and being with whatever the symptoms are in your existence, may it help you find these moments of understanding. May it help you align yourself with the greater healing that is happening in this world. And may it help you remember that most helpful thing of all, why you're here.